The Bank of Ghana has reaffirmed its existing policies on foreign exchange cash withdrawals and forex purchases for international travel, stating that no changes are currently being considered. The Bank of Ghana statement follows a media statement by board member of the Bank of Ghana, Isaac Adongo, who asserted that the Bank of Ghana has tightened restrictions on over-the-counter US dollar withdrawals as part of efforts to stabilize the cedi. In a public notice issued on Wednesday, the central bank clarified that over-the-counter cash withdrawals in foreign currencies from foreign exchange accounts and foreign currency accounts remain permitted. The Bank of Ghana also reiterated that individuals with foreign exchange accounts or foreign currency accounts may still purchase forex for travel purposes, subject to a cap of $10,000 per person per trip or its equivalent. Such purchases must be supported by a valid passport, visa, and a confirmed travel ticket. Additionally, the notice confirmed that checks and checkbooks will continue to be issued on both foreign exchange accounts and foreign current accounts. In more news, Minister of Energy and Green Transition, John Jenapo, has revealed that the country urgently needs $1.1 billion specifically for liquid fuel to keep its power plants operational. He warned that without immediate funding, there could be a nationwide power shutdown. Addressing Parliament's Energy Committee, he also highlighted that the government owes over $1.7 billion to independent power producers, with Car Power threatening to halt operations due to unpaid debts.
Estimated at over 30 billion in terms of the shortfall. Government spent over 24 billion cedis in energy sector, either you call it subsidies, under recoveries, or shortfalls. This year, it is estimated at over 30 billion in terms of the shortfall. Yesterday, we had a session with the finance minister, and a lot of the people here were there. We require about $1.1 billion to procure liquid fuels alone. Unfortunately, and the PRC is here, the liquid fuel is not part of the tariff structure. And so you will be buying close to $15 billion of liquid fuel, and that has to be paid by the central government because it's not part of the tariff structure. As if that is not enough, what you call the reserve margin, which is a necessity, because you just don't bring plants to meet exactly what you consume. What if one plant goes off for maintenance or any situation? That is not also part of the tariff structure. More importantly, the tariff itself, ECG, is unable to collect all the monies. And so you're having a deficit of about 2 billion cedis every month when it comes to ECG's collections. When you add that deficit and you add the fuel, which is not part of the pass-through, you are looking at over 30 billion. Car Power has just sent us a letter that by 18th, they will shut down the plant because we owe them more than $400 million. IPPs alone, we owe them $1.7 billion. And so it's serious.
Meanwhile, John Jenapo stated that Ghana has only 2.2 days worth of fuel remaining for power generation. However, he noted that with assistance from the Ministry of Finance, some fuel has already been secured and an additional 450,000 barrels are expected to arrive this weekend.
Yeah. This morning, my headache is how to get the next parcel of liquid fuel. The fuel we have to take us 2.6 days. We've placed order for fuel, but it has to be paid. We've procured some fuel on credit and working with the Ministry of Finance to pay. But the truth is that the Ministry of Finance also has its limits. And so we'll be going to Cabinet to discuss how we can improve on the sector. And that is why we are pushing for some private sector participation in ECG's operations. It does not entirely solve the problem, but it takes us to another level. Because if the collections are reduced from the 40% to say 5%, it means that we'll be collecting more. Cabinet has also adopted a position, and we'll brief you, Chairman. All MMDAs are supposed to pay for their electricity bills. They have to budget for it. We've identified what we call critical institutions. They include the health sector, the education sector, the security agencies, and the presidency. Even with that, so if you take the health sector, it's the theaters, the laboratories, the wards that will be exempted. If you take the educational institutions, dormitories are not part. Restaurants are not part. Only lecture theaters. So we've classified that.
Away from that, the government of Ghana is preparing to launch a competitive procurement process aimed at increasing solar power generation, according to the Deputy Minister for Energy and Green Transition, Richard Jan Mensah. Speaking at a vendor forum in Accra, Mr. Jan Mensah emphasized the government's commitment to affordable energy, identifying solar as a cost-effective alternative to thermal power. He noted that the upcoming bidding process will attract credible investors to expand Ghana's renewable energy capacity while ensuring competitive pricing for consumers. The Deputy Minister clarified that the process will be selective, welcoming only viable and cost-efficient proposals. The move is expected to drive private investments and accelerate the country's transition to a greener, more sustainable energy mix. Moving on, fuel prices in Ghana are set to experience their steepest drop starting today, May 16, 2025, according to the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies. This follows the release of Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies pricing outlook for the second pricing window of May. Petrol prices are expected to decrease by 6.7% to 8.8% per litre, potentially bringing prices down to 13.27 Ghana cedis or lower. Diesel is also projected to drop between 4% and 6%, with prices possibly falling to 14.40 Ghana cedis or below. Additionally, liquefied petroleum gas may reduce by 5.3%, bringing its cost around 16 Ghana cedis per kilogram. The sharp decline is attributed primarily to the Ghanaian cedi's appreciation against the US dollar. Falling global crude oil prices and a dip in finished petroleum product costs have also contributed to the downward trend. This marks the fifth consecutive pricing window with declining fuel prices. Despite the reductions, the Ghana Private Road Transport Union argues the drop is insufficient to justify lowering transport fares. Moving on, the Center for Economic Research and Policy Analysis has called for targeted policy measures to sustain the recent appreciation of the Ghanaian cedi, now the world's best performing currency in 2025, with a 16% gain against the US dollar. In a policy brief released on May 14, they attributed the cedi's rebound to increased gold reserves, improved fiscal discipline under IMF-backed reforms, stronger export earnings, and a temporary suspension of external debt servicing. The brief favorable global conditions, including a weaker US dollar. The company also noted that the stronger cedi has led to reduced inflation, a lower debt burden, and improved investor confidence. However, it warned that the gains could be short-lived if not carefully managed. Risks include reduced export competitiveness and increased import dependency, further threatened by a recent 10% US tariff on Ghanaian goods. To maintain momentum, they recommend continued fiscal discipline, reinvestment of foreign profits, import substitution through support for local industries, expansion of gold purchase program, and diversification of exports. The think tank emphasized that while the cedi's performance is encouraging, sustained growth will require consistent economic management and long-term planning. Away from that, the government plans to raise 6.68 billion Ghana cedis today by issuing 91-day, 182-day, and 364-day Treasury Bills to refinance the 6.44 billion Ghana cedis in maturing debt. This move comes after failing to meet its T-bill target for the second consecutive week, despite the Ghana cedi being the world's best performing currency. According to the Bank of Ghana's auction data, the T-bill sale saw a slight undersubscription. Interest rates continue to decline, with the 91-day and 182-day bills dropping by 7 basis points to 15.16% and 15.70% respectively. Analysts suggest that the government's full acceptance of bids indicates alignment with investor demand rather than an urgent need to borrow. Let's take a look at today's exchange rate. That is all for local news. Now to the international front. Africa's largest bauxite producer, Guinea, has revoked 46 mining licenses as part of sweeping reforms in the country's mineral sector. The move this week aims to tighten state control, enforce compliance, and ensure that mining directly benefits national development. Government sources suggest up to 53 permits could be affected, mostly belonging to small firms that failed to meet investments or operational requirements. Officials say the revocation is part of a broader strategy to boost revenue and accountability in the world's second largest bauxite producing nation. Expand bauxite, gold, diamond, but the impact is expected to be minimal as larger international operations remain unaffected. Guinea accounts for over 25% of global bauxite supply, and exports rose 11% in 2023, making the mineral a pillar of the economy. The government's message is clear: future mining in Guinea must align with national goals, starting with local refining, stricter licensing, and real accountability.